All right, Shalom. First off, I'm going to start up by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due to Yahweh, Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakadash. So all praises to the world cause God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, Bahashim in the name, Bahashim meaning in the name of Yahweh Shai, being in the name of the only begotten Son. Also want to say double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, peace and mercy to the hopeful lake, preaching sword and truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Tazabah, the great millstone, Arizona camp, Lord will, with another video to edify. And I want to go into this right here, right? And just really break this down, because this nigga on the left, man, he just trying to get some coochie. That's all he trying to do. He using the truth to try to get some tail, and that's why he doing this video with this female. But I'm gonna go into what she said, because Jake got no understanding, and he want the Lord to be this super mystical being that just pop up on the scene through a woman. No, the Lord created one interest to life, right? So let's get it.
Came out of Christianity, and I wasn't into Sakari and all the hardcore camps because I just knew the Holy Spirit already proved that I was hate, it was hateful. And so the closest congregation that I found to what I believed in at the time was the SEC. They believed that Gentiles could be saved, and they didn't believe in polygyny. And but one thing that led me away from them was that they preached that the virgin birth was not true, and they preached that Joseph was the actual biological father of Yahusha, who y'all know as Jesus Christ, and so that put me off, and so eventually I was leaving the camps, and my spirit started to detach from them.
And there is no virgin birth in the scriptures. When you go through the scriptures, there were certain prophecies that had to be fulfilled, and the only way for those prophecies to be fulfilled is Yahweh Shai had to come through the seed of men. When you go to, what is that, Numbers, to Numbers 2 or Numbers 1 and 6, let me see. Numbers 1 and 18, Salakia. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. For you have a pedigree, it will come through the house of your father, not through the house of your mother. So if there was no father involvement in Yahweh Shai's birth, right, he wouldn't be able to have a pedigree of an Israelite. He'd be something else if he just manifested on the scene. It says, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. Now, I got some precepts prepared, and we're going to start off with Romans 1. Right? Now, remember that pedigree, Romans 1 and 3. It says, concerning his son, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Now, if you're going to be made of the seed of David, there have to be seed in every step of the way. Now, when you go to right here, right, it tells you that word seed in the Greek goes back to what? Sperma. Right there, sperma, which is what the word sperm. So from which a plant germinates, it says a residue or a few survivors reserved as the germ of the next generation. The semen virile, the product of this semen, seed, children, offspring, progeny, right? So how do you get your progeny? By the seed of your father. Now he came as he was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the Son of the Most High with power according to the Spirit of holiness by the resurrection of the dead, from the dead, right? So he came of the seed and lineage of David. Now, when you go to Matthew, the first chapter, it goes to the lineage. I got to get this in a blue letter. Matthew 1:1, it says, the book of the generation of Yahushua Mashiach, the son of David, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac. Now let's go to that word begat. And in the Greek, it's what? Of men who fathered children, to be born, to be begotten, of women giving birth to children, to engender, cause to rise, excite. In the Jewish sense, one who brings others over to his way of life. Nah, that's not right. Let's get this root word. It says kindred, offspring, family, stock, tribe, nation, right? So to beget something, it had to be of your stock. It had to come from your seed. So it goes all through the lineage of Yahushua. Abraham begat Isaac. Isaac begat Jacob. Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. Judas begat Pharez and Zamar and Pharez and Zara of Thamar. And Pharez begat Ezram, and Ezram begat Aram, right? And Aram begat Abinadab, and Abinadab begat Nason. And it keeps going on. Then it goes to what? To David. Let me get that down here. It says, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, right? And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, whom was born Yahushua, who is called a Mashiach. So Mary had to go through Joseph to beget Yahushua, and that's all part of what? A natural order. Because when you go back into the Old Testament, you know what? I got a couple more scriptures. Let's get this Hebrews 2. Hebrews 2:14. And we'll get that in the Old Testament in a minute, man. Hebrews 2:14. It says, for as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same. So Yahushua was a child of flesh and blood. And how do other men come into this world? Right? Because he said he took part of the same. How do we all come through this world? Through our father and mother coming together, and we coming. Your mother could have been a virgin before. She could have not been. In Yahushua's case, she was a virgin, and we'll go through that word, right? But it was according to the promise of the Lord that a woman that was a virgin, right? And we'll go through the word, would bear a child, right? It says, likewise took part of the same, that through death might destroy him that had power of death, that is the devil, right? It's straight up. It's telling you right there. He took part of the same. He came in the flesh like we did. He suffered the same things. He cried the same cry we did. And it says that in Wisdom of Solomon, and the scriptures tell you, you can't put anything to the word of the Lord. All these sayings are constant. That's what the scriptures say. Whose sayings are constant. This is Wisdom of Solomon 7:1. It says, I myself am a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth. Now, wasn't Yahushua when he came the first time? Didn't he come in mortal flesh? Right? Did he not? Did he not say that he was going to sit down on the right hand of the Most High? That he was going to be given a body to where he was able to subdue all things, and we're going to get that same body, right? And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood, right? Being begotten, right? Of the seed of man and the pleasure that came with sleep, right? Meaning when he was in his mother's belly. It says, and when I was born, I drew in the common air and fell upon the earth, which is of like nature. And the first voice I uttered was crying, as all others do. I was nursed in swaddling clothes with cares, for there is no king that had any other beginning of birth. For all men have one entrance into life, and the like going out. You see, all men, right, come through the womb, fashioned in the same way. Yahweh Shai confirmed that. Because he said he was partakers of the same flesh and blood as his brethren, which were what? Israelites. There's no virgin birth, man. There's no so-called virgin birth like the world expresses it. It's Isaiah 7. Isaiah 7 and 14. It says, Therefore, Yahweh himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Immu'Allah, Emmanuel, right? Immu'Allah in the Hebrew, right? Now, when you go to this word, virgin, alama, right? And it means what? Virgin, young woman of marriageable age. And that's all Mary was. She was a young woman of marriageable age, made or newly married. There is no instance where it can be proved that Alam designates a young woman who is not a virgin. The fact that virginity is obvious, where Alama is used of one who is being sought as a bride for Isaac. You see, they updated that. I don't think that was there before, right? But they're basically backing it up. She was just a young woman of marriageable age, and even if she slept with her husband, which she did, right? When she did it, she was still considered a virgin at that time. She didn't go into nobody else. She was a young woman of marriageable age. That's all it meant. Now, being born of the Spirit, when it talks about him being Yahweh Shai being born of the Spirit, is because he fulfilled the things that were written in the scriptures. John 6 and 63. Let me get it, man. I think I'm quoting the wrong verses. John 6. Yeah, John 6 and 63 is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profited nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So the spirit is the word of the Most High. So being born of the Spirit, walking in the Spirit, is fulfilling the things that are written in the scriptures. And that's what was done by Yahweh Shai's birth. So when she had a child of the Spirit, she was fulfilling the things that was written, right? Joseph was of the seed of David. So Yahweh Shai would be of the seed of David, because he came through that bloodline. That's why you got Matthew, the first chapter. This is Isaiah 9. And 6. It says, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. That child being born is Yahweh Shai. This is how we know that these things were written before, right? That child that was given, he was fulfilling all those things written of him. It says, of the increase of his government and peace thereof, there shall be no end upon the throne of David. Why was he upon the throne of David? Because he was of the lineage and the bloodline of David through his father, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will perform this. Right? This was what Yahweh Shai represented when he came into earth. It didn't mean that he just magically wound up in Mary's stomach. No. It just meant he was fulfilling the things that were written of him. Right? She was still a young woman of marriageable age. But as in a sense that she had never been popped, and Yahushua popped up on the scene, that's a fallacy, right? Psalms 132 and 11. And it says, I'll start at 10. It says, for thy servant David's sake, turn not away the face of thy anointed. Yahweh had sworn in truth unto David, he will not return from it. He will not turn from it. Of the fruit of the body will I set up thy throne. Of the fruit of thy body will I set up thy throne. You see? So that's what Yahushua was. He's of the fruit of his body, and he's going to sit on the throne of David forever. Right? He's of the fruit in the lineage of David through his fathers. Right? It says Jeremiah 33. I'll end it on that one. Jeremiah 33 and 14. It says, behold, the days come, say Yahweh, that I will perform that good thing which I have promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Judah in those days. And at that time will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David. And who's the branch? When you go to Revelation, it tells you Yahushua is that branch. It says, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. Right? But he came from what? He grew up unto the household of David. In those days shall Judah be saved and Jerusalem dwell safely. And this is the name wherewith she shall be called. Yahweh, which she shall be called. It says, Yahweh, our righteousness. And this is the name wherewith he shall be called. I don't know why it says she, right? But Yahweh, our righteousness. I need to make sure that this Bible app ain't going off. Got to grab my actual sword. But yeah, that's about it, man. There's no virgin birth that these Christian pastors preach in the scriptures, man. Shalom.